Welcome back to the FPL Pop In Pod. This is episode 9 and it's Halloween. Ooh. I'm Monster Mash McTavius and I'm joined once again by my less than gruesome co-host, Nightmare Queen Nymphria. Hey Nym, did you get any treats this week or was it mainly tricks?
Oh, mainly a bunch of tricks for me. Not a great game week whatsoever.
It was a bit spooky then, was it?
It's a bit ghoulish.
Not ghoulish, but ghoulish.
A bit ghoulish for me.
We usually start off with our review of the previous week, and one game that certainly wasn't full of ghoulish treats was our heavyweight game, which was Manchester United versus Spurs. Mm-hmm. I went for 2-1 Spurs.
Yeah.
Going for the wrong team.
Yeah.
You went for the right team.
Yep, 2-1 United. So I chose the right side for the win. Continues United's win over Spurs at Old Trafford. But gosh, it was a bit boring, wasn't it? A 1-0 and Martial goal on top of everything. Not even a Lukaku one. So yeah, not great. But the devil's doing it for Halloween, I suppose. And
see what we've done there.
But my fear of injured Kane came to fruition. So that was a bit horrid for Halloween.
Yeah, a bit ghastly, wasn't it?
I, like most FPL players who actually own Kane, was kind of frantically running around on Friday thinking, do we transfer him in? Do we transfer him out? I'll tell you what I did a little bit later on. But at least we were given some prior warning. At least we weren't just kind of, told or not told, as the case may be, like Saturday morning.
There was a spoiler alert.
Yeah, there was. So, yeah, that was very cool. And the fact that most of us knew it would probably only be for one game week.
Yeah, because he's always going to come back and play against Palace.
And that's pretty much been proven by what we've seen in the Champions League this evening. So, yeah.
Against a far lesser opposition, it has to be said. It's only Real Madrid. It's not Crystal Palace.
No, of course not.
Awkward silence. And that's pretty much how that game went.
There's not really a lot else to say.
Not a whole lot of excitement.
No. We were all hoping for a lot more there, really, weren't we?
But where there was excitement, Selhurst Park was rocking thanks to a 2-2 draw in the, what was it, in the 97th minute or something like that. Oh, and I was crazy. I'll admit it. I jumped off the sofa. I did. And it wasn't because there was a little spider next to me, but I literally jumped off the sofa.
Yeah. No winners in this one, so it helps neither team out.
Well, yeah.
But what it does do is gives me a right prediction. Finally. Yes. Desmond Tutu. Finally. Woo. But yeah, as I say, it doesn't really help either of you. So
no, and you don't really get any prizes for correcting it right.
No, and
probably should really.
And it's just quite amusing to see Palace fans celebrating like it was an actual win rather than a draw. But you got to take it. Yeah. You got to take it.
That's one more point than we were going to get.
Yeah.
That's only our 4th point of the season. So yeah, we were going to, and we scored 2 goals in the game. 2 goals in the game, and we scored both of them. So most attacking display by Palace this season. Hart had. Well, probably the best game that Hart's had in a long time. Maybe you could buy him. No. Fair enough.
I've no heart for Hart.
My surprise fixture for last week was the 2 teams with new managers, or at least one new manager and one caretaker manager, Leicester, Everton. I had a prediction of 3-2 Leicester, and I obviously overestimated Everton's attacking ability by giving them a couple of goals because it just ended 2-0. I've kind of given up on Everton now. It's pretty much like watching Palace again. There's no real attacking threat. There's just a whole bunch of number 10s playing there. There's no strikers. But they are possibly maybe getting Big Sam. So their season will completely turn around and they'll be great.
That was great to see Leicester living up to their doing well under a manager sacking role.
Vardy loves a new manager.
Yeah, finally great to have a small but very much appreciated Vardy party on my behalf.
Just in time for Halloween parties.
Yeah, but Everton obviously not doing quite so well under David Unsworth, their caretaker manager in charge. So not so great for them having a having a manager sacking, but obviously in Leicester's case it was helpful.
Yeah, they probably should have had someone in mind before they sacked Koeman. Not that Leicester probably had Puel in mind, because there seems to just be one name going around the whole time. And that brings us on to our first topic of the week. We put a little poll up on Twitter with a few talking points for the weekend, let people vote on it, and we ended up with a draw. So we're going to include both of them.
It was kind of to take place of our funny moment thing, so that we weren't kind of forcing a funny moment every week. It's just something a bit more interesting than
because
just
our humour is a lot
always
darker than other people's.
Yeah.
And that first question is, where should Sean Dyche be? Should he stay at Burnley? Should he go to Everton? Should he now go to Sunderland? I mean, they're looking for a manager now, so where should he go?
Wow, nobody knows. But from what I can see on social media, I mean, obviously it's quite a small pool of people, but Everton fans seem pretty split about him becoming their manager. They don't seem too sure about him actually taking the role. And, they weren't really sure with Koeman, as I said in last time's pod. So, I think, is that really a great way to start off if already quite a lot of your fan base is not sure about, about the person who's, meant to be taking charge of your team. So,
You want to have 100% backing from the start.
Yeah.
You don't want to be like Moyes.
No.
Going into Sunderland and having no one want you there.
Yeah. What about you? Where do you think he should go?
I think he should stay at Burnley. I don't think he should go anywhere near Everton unless he has to play against them. All the rumours at the moment about Big Sam, but he doesn't want to go back into...
I listened to an interview with him and he said unless it was for the right price and the right job, he wouldn't go anywhere near it with a barge pole, pretty much. So, which doesn't really say he would never.
He is a big fan of toffee as well.
Well, I don't know about that. I do see him chewing gum quite a lot, but I don't know about toffee.
But I don't think he should drop down to Everton. And yes, I said drop down to Everton.
Wow.
Burnley are currently in 7th. Now, they probably won't stay in 7th. I can't imagine them getting Europa League football. Maybe top 10, But Dyche...
I don't know. I really don't know. When Leicester wins the league...
That's true.
That's true. I don't like to write anybody off.
But he has a better chance of staying up there with his players.
Yeah.
Because Burnley is all Sean Dyche players, rather than a squad of Koeman's number 10s. Klaassen and Rooney and
the thing is, though,
Sigurdsson.
a lot of those, I don't think they're getting played to the best of their ability anyway. I do think he hasn't really played them. He's got Calvert-Lewin, who's a fantastic young talent, and he wasn't getting played very often. And, there's just... Watching Everton, there are just things from knowing them previously before this season, and the new people that have come in, I know they obviously have their set areas where they usually play, but it just feels like they're not really being played to the best of those positions by how else he's setting up the team, or things like that. So yeah, I do agree that obviously Dyche at the moment is at Burnley, and he's got his own players there, and does he really want to then be trading it in for different players? But I do think any manager that does get the job could at least turn the fortunes of Everton around a little bit, if they just utilised their players a little bit better, I think.
I think they need Seamus Coleman back.
Seamus Coleman, they need to be playing Jaggers a little more.
Well, I'd put him in there instead of Williams. I don't know what Williams is doing.
Gosh, he's kind of gone on a rampage at
Since
the
he's
moment,
got that funny little pokey haircut. He's gone
got
mental.
a bit Sideshow Bob.
He's trying to kill everyone,
yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think he should go to Everton. I think he should stay at Burnley, at least finish the season there, because he could probably get a better job than Everton afterwards. Boom. Maybe, potentially, at Arsenal, if Wenger leaves at the end of the season. Maybe.
Oh,
I mean, they did win this week. Surprise, surprise.
yeah, just throw that one out there, why don't you? Well, my surprise pick actually was Swansea Arsenal, and it ended up 2-1, obviously, to Arsenal.
Yeah, of course.
I went with 3-1 for this one. Yeah, I misguessed that. And all of the scorers that I actually scored, because I did actually stick my neck out and say...
Yeah, you kind of went above and beyond.
Yeah, it kind of was like Abraham for the score sheet, and I listed a load of names. And
depends what score sheet you look at, because if it lists assists, then he's on there.
I know, he was unlucky not to really be awarded that.
He didn't steal anyone this time.
No, that's true. But yeah, I'm just loving that Arsenal has finally kind of put out a strong team and seems to be sticking with it 2 game weeks in a row. And I think if he keeps playing, this team setup, Arsenal stands a bit of a chance of being back in the top 4 again this season. But yeah, I'll put that out there.
Whoa. Burnley top 7, Arsenal top 4.
Oh, I know, gosh, but I really do think if he can do that, and maybe if Sanchez can start scoring a bit more, then then
maybe Lacazette.
Oh, Lacazette.
Spoiler alert, he didn't. I'll get onto that later.
But yeah, I think I'm just happy to see us looking a lot better. Unfortunately, not looking so great again in defence. But Klosniak did kind of come back and redeem himself a little bit by
playing more of a striker than a defender. That's probably why they conceded. Which was actually great for me as a Kolasinac owner.
All right, don't rub it in.
Who got, well, to be fair, he got most of my points. A grand total of 48 this week. Which takes me to 538. Knocking me up, actually, just under the 700,000 now. Yeah, I couldn't really do much better unless I captained one of my free players actually done anything. Klosniak obviously being the best one. Should have captained him instead of Lacazette. Lacazette let me down. Stupid Lacazette.
Well, this is why I don't have any Arsenal players in my team.
It's true.
But I was back down to earth with a bang after my fantastical game week.
Yes, the one we couldn't talk about. You can bask. You can have a couple of minutes. Go and bask.
I will. I mean, my best points so far this season. Captain Kane, couple of goals, all happy and all was right in the world. And then the Halloween horror started this game week. Got just 38 points.
Ooh.
So I don't think I was anywhere near the average. I've not even brought myself to look at what the average was. I don't want to know. Don't tell me. So my overall points, 505. Not that brilliant. I'm around about the 1.6 mil overall rank mark. And I'm continuing in my form of getting my keepers the wrong way around. And this seems to be a running theme now. Like the week I play Daya, then Elliot does brilliant. The week I play Elliot, Daya does brilliant. And now I just think I ought to just choose one and leave them there, regardless of who they're playing, because I'll get lucky most weeks. Then.
Or just buy two
every
new
other week or something. But I just made the one. But I made a couple of transfers. I did Richie to Richarlison, which ended up not really doing that
Rich
way.
for Rich.
Yeah, Rich for Rich. One, I think, Richarlison got 1 point, so it wasn't all that brilliant. And I did panic, and I did sell Kane.
Ooh.
Yes.
Fell on that side of the fence.
And I sold him for Jesus.
Oh.
And I captained Jesus.
Oh.
I was hoping for a religious experience. Unfortunately, I got left in the graveyard.
You just got chastised.
I did. I got, sent to hell.
To be fair, he got 2 more points than Kane did.
No, that's true. However, I took a -4 for Jesus. So, actually, it did get me less points than just leaving Kane where he was and captaining somebody like Lukaku, or I probably was going to captain Richarlison, so, it wouldn't have got me many more points, but at least I wouldn't have had that -4 on top of everything, and then, be bringing down a couple of points that way. So, and so yeah, I really messed up there when it is looking like Kane will be playing against Crystal Palace, and now I have to scratch my head about whether I get Kane back in or not when I have at the moment Jesus, Vardy, and Lukaku up front. And I have a lot of people on the sell Lukaku train at the moment. Don't know whether to join them. They are against Chelsea, but then does have a run of a couple of good games. Not sure. He is pretty consistent. But yeah, I just don't know. I'm not sure yet. That'll be one to worry about in like an hour's time.
I didn't actually make any transfers this week. I was dithering over a few transfers, some that I keep saying every week that I'm going to do, like Lerva and people as such. But I thought, no, I'll just leave it this week, have a couple next week, maybe use one of the free ones possibly. But thankfully, I didn't do any transfers because my star man was one of the ones that I was going to transfer out.
Okay.
And that was Kolasinac, obviously. 14 points, goal and an assist. He was on the way out of my team for a few weeks. He was in one of my wildcard mess around things. I was going to drop him down to Monreal or something like that. Yeah, thankfully I didn't, because if I did and he done what he done on the weekend, I probably would have just stopped playing out of pure spite. But I didn't, so it was great. Big cheesy grin. 14 points, wonderful.
Yeah, well, some of us aren't quite as lucky as that. Although I can't really say that when Otamendi got me 15 points the week before. But yeah, my star man was Vardy, so do Vardy party. So we were happy to be welcomed back to that party with his 1 goal. He played 89 minutes and got 2 bonus points and got me a nice 8 points in my 3rd striker spot.
Oh
Finally,
my God.
The 3rd striker spot pays off. Unfortunately, the rest of the spots didn't do very much, so I had to kind of sacrifice my 2 other striker spots doing badly in order for my 3rd striker to do well. But thankfully, at least I got some points in that spot, and anyone who's been listening to this pod since the beginning of the season will know I've not had a great experience with that 3rd striker spot, so that was, a little kind of win for me. But he's now scored the first Premier League goal under their last 3 managers.
Wow.
Yeah, so obviously whenever they get a new manager, Vardy's the man to score first.
It's just law.
Yeah, it's just law. So if they could, if I keep Vardy, if they could keep sacking people and finding a new manager, then, it could take them back to the top of the league again with Vardy scoring goals all over the place. Yeah. I know this week has been a tough week with lots of big teams playing one another, and points will be probably quite difficult to come by, I think, possibly, depending on whether you just happen to be lucky enough to have the couple of players that will do really well in those matches. So I'm thinking my fire player might be Vardy again, because he's up against Stoke.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of hoping that Stoke being Stoke and maybe Vardy continuing on a bit of kind of form, that he might be able to grab a couple of goals and be my star man again next week, which should be really great.
Well, yeah.
But what about you? Who's hellishly with your fire player for this coming week?
I thought long and hard about this because most of my players are playing against each other. Pretty much my whole midfield and strikers are against one another. Most of them let me down this week. So this may be blind Palace faith, but it's got to be Zaha. Okay, he's playing against a big club. Mm-hmm. Tends to do quite well against big clubs. Tends to try and show off a bit.
Yeah.
And he's at Wembley. Does do quite well at Wembley. Spurs beat Real Madrid. That's fine. He's he's not going to get any minus points for conceding goals, but he may just grab another 90-something minute goal. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, well, why not?
Probably not, but no one else was really standing out to me to being a massive.
So do you see him more as a lightning pick or as a fire pick?
As a fire pick, I think.
So who's your lightning pick then?
My lightning one was Kolasinac once again, because I don't think he's going to be getting 14 points probably combined from the next 2 games. Since they're against Man City and Spurs. I think he'll struggle to get that between those 2 games.
Well, you never know. I think he's a bit like, he's the attacking defender that I love so much. One of those defenders that, even though they can let in a couple of goals, can very easily kind of provide you with that goal or the assist up the other end to kind of make back up the fact that they've lost your clean sheet. So you never know.
Yeah, true. Backing an Arsenal player there. Feeling alright.
Oh, I back my players. I just don't buy them in FPL. My lightning pick would be Sterling. Not that he's not capable of doing well. We all know that he's pretty good at doing well. But on our little kind of pop pick, am pretty bruised by Pep's rotation. And he only played 29 minutes. But in that 29 minutes, he did grab me a goal. So I just kind of have put him as a lightning pick because with Pep, it is a bit like, when will the lightning strike and where will it strike in terms of, when will your player play and when will you be lucky, will you be the lucky one with the points? So that's why I made Sterling my lightning pick.
One you didn't need from last week, obviously we've mentioned him several times. My Duff Puff was Jesus, another Man City player. 2nd week in a row as my Duff Puff. This time he didn't have the excuse of starting on the bench and not playing that many minutes, because he started the game, done nothing. Thankfully I didn't captain him. I went for Lacazette instead, who didn't get me many more points. In fact, combined, Lacazette, Fabregas, Eriksen, Silva, Rashford and Jesus got the same amount of points as Kolasinac did. That's how bad the rest of my team was. So it could have been any one of those.
I'm kind of with you there, because my Duff Puff was my lightning pick from last week, and that was Otamendi, because he actually got me no points. He was my lightning pick because I didn't see him getting, that amount of points every game week, a bit like you with Kolasinac. But I really just didn't see no points. I mean, come on, dude. Like, no points whatsoever. You could at least got me, 1, maybe even 2, Even if you couldn't get me a clean sheet. But to get me no points, man. The epitome of a Duff Puff.
But he's in my bin of sin. Jesus is. He's a striker in the highest scoring team in the league, but his points returns are far from consistent. He either scores really highly or he scores hardly anything. And there may be more consistent forwards out there for that price range. He's on tenterhooks. I don't want to get rid of him. I want to stick with Jesus. But my faith is dwindling.
I have a similar quandary, really, I guess. My bin of sin, I'm not really sure who I would chuck at the moment, because I look at my team and I think it really should be doing well. It's probably the best team I've had all season. I've finally getting somewhere with it. However, I'm a bit like you. I've been considering getting rid of Eriksen for the same reasons you've just said about Jesus. He's in a top team with people who are scoring lots of goals, and yet it kind of feels a bit like he doesn't get the same kind of returns as other people cheaper than him. It's not that he isn't great, because he's well up there with the point, with the FPL point scorers for the midfielders. However, it's like the reason he's up there is mainly because of his consistency of, a goal here or an assist there or a goal, and it just kind of feels a bit like there are people cheaper that would allow me to upgrade elsewhere from the extra money that are a bit more explosive with their points returns than what Eriksen is. And when I have Kane in my team, I know I don't have him right at this moment, but if I do go back to having Kane, when I had Kane and Eriksen, it felt like that kind of double up when Spurs are kind of like giving us the kind of returns that City are. Just feels like it's an awful lot of cash tied up, for not as many kind of points returns as there possibly could be. So, yeah, my possible transfers, probably just going to be keeping a close eye on the injury news with Kane, but he played most of the match, the Champions League, and looked good. He, I think he could have scored a couple. So, yeah, I'm really going to have to agonise over that, whether to stick with Jesus against Arsenal or whether to get Kane back in against Crystal Palace.
Well, all those probablys and talks of disappointing Man City players, or choice in Man City players, leads us on to our second topic from our poll, which is the bruises that we've got from being pepped. Obviously, rotation is a big bugbear for FPL managers on a yearly basis, every year. But Pep does seem to do it for fun. I think he switches formations. He started off with having two at the top. Now he's having one with the two wingers. He was messing around with Sané and Sterling. Now Sané seems to be playing every minute and Sterling's not playing at all.
As I mentioned with the Lightning pick.
Yeah. So it's just like, what can we do about Pep? It's a good place to say we had a question from Rob on Twitter, who was along these sort of lines with the rotations. He said about the top 6 teams, the rotations of them, do we just sort of sit here and accept it and just sort of hope our players play? If they don't, they don't. Or should we sort of beef up our bench players just in case the players don't play, we got better ones coming in?
I think we have to just accept that this season, at least this first half of the season, going to be rotations. It hasn't just been City. We've seen it in other places as well. Liverpool, for instance. There is rotation, and I think we don't need to worry about beefing up our benches too much, because I think we've been quite lucky in the fact that also some cheaper priced players are doing well and they're holding their own. So really, I don't think you need to be worrying about having kind of, middle priced, top priced players sat on your bench just in case somebody doesn't play. I just think it is worth considering that maybe the first 2 players on the bench, are players that you can trust to maybe be consistent with a couple of points, that may grab a few more points if you're lucky, so that should one of those rotated players not play for you, in my case Sterling not playing, or does come on for 28 minutes and does something, then, it's quite nice to have a fairly middle priced, cheaper defender in that spot to think, well, that player might grab a clean sheet, and so therefore, we'll be going in for Sterling. Not as great, obviously, if Sterling plays and gets me several goals, but I don't think you need to worry about beefing it up to the point where extra cash on your bench that may or may not get used.
I believe the term he used was bench fodder, so I presume he's not a big one for rotating his squad around. So you don't really want to have too much money that you're just sitting there not using.
Yeah.
When you've got players like Carroll and Cork and the 4.5 defenders that you could easily just have there. They're playing every week. I think Carroll got an assist the other week. That's just extra points.
Yeah, no, you've got Loftus-Cheek playing again.
Yeah, he got an assist last week. So that's the problem with the first half of the season, especially with the top 6 ones, because there's a lot more Champions League games and European games in general than in the second half, along with League Cups and stuff like that. So. And
I think we've been a bit unlucky with some injuries and things as well, and suspensions like your Manes and Coutinho's and and then with
Aguero's
Kane,
concerts.
Aguero's, yeah, I think all of that has just compounded it to it being quite a kind of roller coaster of a season so far. So, and, has been why I've kind of changed my strategy a little bit to accommodate the fact that the season's a bit higgledy-piggledy. Now I am considering taking my hits where I need them rather than just kind of avoiding them, So, yeah, I think do the best you can, get in as many of the top 6 players as you can, and, accept that they will be rotated, because there's not too much you can really, especially if you're going to go for City players. They're going to get rotated. This is Pep, and then you just kind of have somebody cheap, middle priced on your bench that you're happy will grab you some points if they go in.
That's sound advice.
Because you just can't guarantee that, even say you stuck like a Richie or a Choupo-Moting or, somebody middle priced first on your bench, or even, a really cheap striker like a Wood, who obviously didn't end up playing this game week.
Yeah.
If you had one of those first on your bench, you still no guarantee really for that money. That's 7, 6, 5, 6, 7, that they're going to grab you much either,
Well,
and then you've got all that money tied up there, sat on your bench.
They're all different prices, but they're all human beings. Everyone's got a chance of getting points. Mm-hmm. You just have to look at the team. Eriksen, Jesus, highly priced people not getting any points. Loftus-Cheek gets an assist. He gets more than them combined. So, it's...
Bit of a luck
it's more of the players than the price. So I don't think you should throw too much money on the bench when there's good quality, cheaper players that you can use.
But we're all going to have to just... I know we don't want to, but we are going to have to accept rotation. And just deal with it.
Yeah.
I don't know how we deal with it, but we're
You're
going
just going to have to brace yourself and prepared to get pepped. Probably on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
Potential transfers. Norton to shock horror, a Liverpool defender. Gomez. It's also 4.5. He's been playing 90 minutes for the past 5 game weeks, which has included 2 clean sheets. They got a good run of green games.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I'm not saying that the Liverpool defence is any good.
I'm just saying, what are you thinking, man? Seriously, just no.
No.
Just don't do it.
No.
No. It's Liverpool. Doesn't matter how cheap the defender is, don't do it. No.
Okay. Well, maybe Lover the Simpson.
I mean, don't get me wrong. If you
go
really...
Lowton. Is Lowton okay? It's all right.
Yeah, gosh, yeah.
That's
I
right.
mean,
I might do Norton. Lowton.
There are many teams that I would invest, and I try not to kind of say I wouldn't definitely get a defender from that team, or I wouldn't definitely get a striker from that team, or anything like that. But I just don't know what it is about Liverpool. I just don't think it's a good idea, unless that person has attacking returns as well for that price. Then, and does he? Does Gomez have
Gomez Adams
have attacking potential? Because if he doesn't, I'm not listening. I'm not even entertaining.
He is a right back. He has been getting forward. I am buying time while I look on the website as to whether or not he's done anything.
I think you'll find the answer is no.
Wait for it. Oh, there's his name. I'm looking. He's got 1 assist.
Oh, wow. That's more than I thought.
Against Arsenal in game week 3.
Ugh. Maybe I just see I blocked that out of my memory.
He did get 9 points against Man United.
Oh.
He got 3 bonus points for that game.
Oh, well, I stand corrected. Maybe.
But then
You get him and prove me wrong if you wish.
I'm not sure now.
Gomez could be the pick of the season. You may have missed out because of
I may have
listening
done.
to me.
May have done. And you know who's going to get
But then
blamed.
you sit here every week and you talk about these possible transfers.
Yeah, I mean,
and you never actually
Love
do
has
them.
been going for about 5 weeks now.
I'm getting a bit tired, sat here waiting for you to actually make some blinking transfers, man.
Well, I didn't, and Kolasinac got me 14 points, so maybe I should never make another transfer again.
But what's Lerva done for you in the last few game weeks?
Not much, because he's been on my bench.
We're talking about bench fodder. Anyway, we best get on with our predictions, because,
Our game week 11 predictions. Heavyweight game this week. Chelsea versus Manchester United. Two big teams. Should imagine goals, but I don't think there'll be many goals, because we've predicted many goals for these two teams in the past, and they've both shut up shop and not done anything. So I'm going with 1-1.
I'm actually going to go for a Desmond 2-2 with this one. Man United having two big opponents in 2 weeks, as you've just said. Can they continue to dominate? I'm not really sure, but I think they should be able to grab a couple of goals. Chelsea are coming back off of a 3-0 thrashing by Roma midweek, so their confidence might be a little bit dented. But on that note, Man United have really failed to score more than a couple of goals in October. So, as you say, it all kind of ties into it not being a very kind of big goalsy game. Yeah. And I think it will be a draw. I was generous with the 2-2, but I do think I wouldn't be surprised if it ended up a 1-1 in the end. I'm kind of hoping it'll be a 2-2 because Lukaku has scored 2 goals in his last 7 games against Chelsea. So, I'm hoping it'll be a Desmond 2-2 and that both of those will be Kaku.
That's a bit greedy.
I know, but you got to be sometime.
True. And it could be back to being greedy for Man City.
Yeah.
Supporting act, Man City, Arsenal. Probably will be goals in this game. I'm going 3-1 to Man City.
Oof.
Actually, City have only won 1 in the last 9 meetings with Arsenal in all competitions. So, do Arsenal have Man City's number, as it were?
Maybe. Maybe in previous years. I'm not quite sure, looking at the Man City this year, that they do, personally. And for that reason, I've decided to go with a 4-1 to Man City.
Wow.
Yeah.
Your team there.
Yeah.
Although, there's one pattern I noticed in the last games which doesn't really help either of our predictions.
Oh, yeah.
And that's in the last 7 games, at least one of the 2 teams has scored exactly 2 goals. And no more. And on 3 occasions, both of them did. So there was like a 2-2, there was a 2-1, a 2-0, a couple of more 2-2s. Loads of Desmonds in there. So we went for 3-1 and 4-1.
Yeah.
So we're back into break that pattern.
Well, anytime we've mentioned these sorts of things, they usually haven't happened. So,
True.
we could think of it that way. Or we could just, change it to 3-2 and 4-2. Should Aguero happen to play on the weekend, Lord knows whether he actually will or not. Or Pep knows, I should say. Aguero has scored 6 goals in the last 11 games against Arsenal, and he's grabbed an assist. And Sanchez has scored 3 goals in the last 9 games against City with an assist. So, should both of those be on form on the day, then, our scores could be right out the window anyway. Now, on that note, who is your surprise fixture for this week?
I'm going back to Leicester, and this time including Stoke with them. All the stats are citing towards Leicester.
Oh dear.
Vardy has scored 3 goals in 7 games against Stoke. Stoke haven't won in their last 4 games against the Foxes. And Leicester are an unbeaten run of 4 games this season. So I'm going 2-1 Stoke. Because that's the surprise. It's the surprise fixture.
I see what you're doing.
Joe Allen, God, Jesus is going to inspire them to a 2-1 victory at home.
I don't get the Joe Allen thing.
He looks like not anymore. He shaved off the beard, but he used to look like Jesus.
No.
Just ask Troy Deeney.
No, he never did.
He did.
No, he never did.
A little bit.
No. If you're listening to this podcast, you tell us whether you think that Alan ever looked like the archetypal image that we have of Jesus. I personally do not think he has ever looked like that. Clearly, he does.
He did a bit, yeah. He had long hair and he had a beard.
No.
You look like Jesus.
No.
I'm not the only one. The
I think
followers
you
are out there.
No.
The followers are there.
I think you might be the only one. So, you know. We'd love to think
Hashtag Joe God. No, Joe Jesus. Don't really want to do hashtag no Jesus. That could open up a can of worms.
Don't do that.
No. We'll think of something.
Okay.
Carry on.
We'll stick a hashtag on my view and Mig's view, and we'll see how many of each we get. My surprise fixture is West Ham Liverpool. I'm going to go with 3-2 to Liverpool. Historically, West Ham have had a horrible record against Liverpool, only winning 28 games of their 135.
Wow.
Against Liverpool. Yeah, so that's not looking great for West Ham. Before losing the most recent game 4-0, West Ham had gone 3 games unbeaten in the league against the Reds, winning in 2 of them. So that's
a bit better.
Yeah, so that's why I've kind of gone for a closer prediction than, you know.
They're still going to lose.
I think so, yeah. So, but I think we need to keep an eye out for people like Chicharito, who scored 3 goals in 8 games against Liverpool. So, you know, he could
Big games for
score
Man
a
United
couple out of those 2 that I've stuck down for West Ham. And Coutinho, if he plays, because there's something a bit weird, he was injured or something like that.
Got a dodgy groin.
Yeah, bless him. I don't know what he's been up to there. But he scored 3 goals and got 3 assists in 8 games against West Ham previously. So it's currently, you know, just depends on his injury and whether he'll be
He didn't
back.
play tonight. So he may be rested for the weekend.
But they could feature amongst that 3-2 scoreline should it happen today.
Well, there's plenty of opportunities for goals there.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, so hopefully we'll get more than just one correct answer there.
Yeah.
Like we did last week. Improving every week. Someone who is continuing to improve every week is Luke, who's at top of the league again. For I think it's like about 6 straight weeks now. He's 36 points clear of second place. A lot of points clear of me in 52nd and you in 97th.
Ooh, still above the 100. That's
Still in
good.
100. Creeping there.
Didn't think I would be after this game week.
Yeah. Thankfully everyone else had a bad game week as well. A lot of big names not doing anything, which ties into our one little one-off thing this week. Just put onto Twitter if there was any FPL tricks or FPL treats for the Halloween holidays, and we had one from Mahutsu, which sort of ties into what you were saying earlier on. He said, Vardy has been somewhat of a treat for me. Biggest tricks have come from Pep rotation. Basically what you were saying.
Yeah.
Vardy party, trick-or-treating all over the place. And then Pep comes in and rotates it all around.
Yeah.
And takes it away. No one likes Pep on the holidays. Finishing on a nice treat there. Go check us out on the website, fpljournal.com. On the Twitter page, FPL Journal blog. My Twitter page at Migtavius.
And my Twitter page at Nymphria TV.
You can also check out the podcast on SoundCloud, iTunes, Stitcher, and there is a back catalogue of all these episodes on Nim's YouTube channel.
Oh, there will be.
There will be, yes, because there's not the last few because I haven't kind of centered the files yet, but they will be up there in a sudden influx of videos. But there are many other FPL videos up there for you to watch and view wonderful stuff. That's youtube.com/FPL Nymphria. Just to make sure there's the address there. And that's about it. Hope you all had a great Halloween, and on every door you knocked on, I hope you didn't forget to say, keep popping.
Hashtag keep popping.
Mwah.